Hey you guys, welcome back. If you are new, please consider subscribing. My name is Yari and I create educational content for beauty professionals in training and for those who like to continue learning. If you landed on this video, that means you are probably an esthetician, a cosmetologist, a barber, a nail technician, or even an eyelash specialist. Now, this infection control video review is perfect for you if you are currently studying and preparing for your state board exam. And just a tip, you guys, try to study to understand. Study to understand and not just study to memorize. All of this information you're going to carry with you throughout your career. And remember, when you study to understand, it will not matter how they ask you the question, you will always know the answer. If you find the video helpful, give this video a thumbs up, share it with a friend. Follow me on all social media platforms as Glam and beyond. Feel free to scan the QR code to stay connected with me. And if you're interested in shopping for additional PDFs, check out the link and it'll take you where you need to go. I want to wish you guys good luck on your test. Now let's get started. Cleaning. Cleaning is always a starting point. It involves using soap and water or a detergent solution to physically remove visible dirt, debris, and many microorganisms. It always clears away hidden buildup that could interfere with disinfectants working properly. So that's cleaning. Sanitizing. Sanitizing is a chemical step that reduces the number of germs on a surface after it has already been cleaned, bringing them down to a safer level. In professional infection control, the term sanitizing is often used more casually or in marketing, while the focus in the field is mainly on proper cleaning followed by disinfection. Disinfecting. Disinfecting is a chemical process used on non-porous tools and surfaces to destroy many harmful microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, and fungi. However, it does not eliminate bacterial spores. Sterilizing. So sterilizing is the highest level of decontamination. It eliminates all forms of microbial life, including spores, typically using equipment like an autoclave. So if you're wondering, what is a bacterial spore? Well, bacterial spores are a highly resistant survival form of certain bacteria. When conditions become too harsh for a bacteria to survive, like, for example, lack of food, extreme heat, drying out, or chemicals, some bacteria can shut down and form a protective outer shell called a spore. Key points to understand, you guys. A spore is not active growth, it's more like a hibernation state. It has a very tough protective coating. It can survive things that normally kill bacteria, like disinfectants, heat, and drying. Once conditions improve, the spore can wake up and become an active bacteria again. In aesthetics and in infection control, disinfection does not kill spores. Only sterilization, like an autoclave, can destroy them. Simple way to remember, spores are the shelter mode version of bacteria, hard to kill and built for survival. Let's talk about OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. OSHA is a government agency under the U.S. Department of Labor that focuses on keeping workers safe on the job. They create and enforce rules about safe handling, mixing, storing, and disposal of products, maintaining a safe work environment, your right to be informed about harmful ingredients in the products you use. OSHA also requires that every chemical product comes with a safety data sheet, an SDS sheet. This is a standardized document, 16 sections, that explains what's in the product, the risk involved, and how to use it safely. It replaced the older version, like the MSDS, that is now called SDS, so don't get that confused. Let's go over EPA. What is the Environmental Protection Agency? The EPA is the agency that oversees and approves disinfectants used in the United States. That's the name of the agency, Environmental Protection Agency. They make sure disinfectants are effective at killing most harmful microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, and fungi, but not spores. The most important thing to remember, you must follow the label exactly, you guys. This includes mixing the product correctly, leaving it on the surface for the full required time, only using it on approved surfaces, using a disinfectant in a way that doesn't match the label is actually against the law. If something goes wrong, you could be held responsible. I hope you're still with me and feel free to take notes. Disease. A disease is a condition where part of the body or one of its system does not function normally. This disruption affects how the body is supposed to work. Infection. An infection occurs when harmful microorganisms enter the body, begin to grow and spread within the tissue. These disease-causing organisms are called pathogens. Importance of infection control. Practicing proper infection control also plays a big role in your professional reputation. Keeping your workplace clean, organized, and properly maintained helps clients feel safe and confident. It demonstrates that safety, cleanliness, and client protection are always a priority in your services. What is direct transmission? Direct transmission refers to the spread of microorganisms through person-to-person contact. This can happen when people touch, shake hands, kiss, or when respiratory droplets are spread through coughing, sneezing, talking, or close contact. Some examples of illness that can spread this way include the common cold, certain parasitic infections, and viral conditions like warts. The good news is that microorganisms spread through direct contact usually do not survive long outside of a living host. What about indirect transmission? Well, indirect transmission happens when germs are passed through a contaminated object or surface instead of direct person-to-person contact, right? This can happen through shared or improperly cleaned tools and surfaces such as a razor, extractors, nail implements, door handles, phones, or even workstations. These contaminated items act as carriers that move pathogens from one surface to another. Respiratory droplets versus airborne transmission. Respiratory droplet and airborne transmission both involve germs from the respiratory system being released into the air when a person coughs, sneezes, or even talks. The difference is based on particle size and how long they stay in the air. Respiratory droplets are larger and heavier, so they fall to the surface quickly and do not remain in the air for long. Airborne transmission involves much smaller, lighter particles that can stay suspended in the air for longer periods and travel farther distances. Some illnesses, such as the influenza virus, can spread through airborne transmission. What about contagious communicable diseases? A contagious or communicable disease is an illness that can be transferred from one individual to another through direct or indirect exposure. These conditions are caused by infectious agents that can spread between people. Ways infection can spread. Infections can be passed along in many everyday situations, including poor hand hygiene, using contaminated tools or equipment, contact with broken skin, wounds, or infected nails, exposure to bodily fluids such as pus or nasal secretions, sharing personal items like towels, cups, or phones, respiratory droplets released when coughing or sneezing without covering, spitting or improper hygiene in public spaces. Hands are one of the most common sources of spread, especially when germs collect under the nails or between the fingers. Occupational disease. An occupational disease is an illness that develops because of exposure or conditions related to a person's job. In the beauty industry, this can happen from repeated contact with chemicals, improper sanitation, or exposure to infectious materials in the workplace over time. Parasitic disease. A parasitic disease is caused by organisms that live on or inside a host and rely on them for survival. These parasites feed off the body and can cause irritation, infection, or other health problems. In beauty settings, examples can include lice or scabies. Pathogenic disease. A pathogenic disease is an illness caused by harmful microorganisms called pathogens. These include bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites that invade the body and cause infection or disease. Bacterial infections. Bacterial infections are illnesses caused by harmful bacteria entering the body and multiplying. These infections can range from mild to severe depending on where they spread and how the body responds. Inflammation. Inflammation is the body's natural defense response to injury or infection. It usually shows up as redness, swelling, heat, pain, or irritation in the affected area. Pus. Pus is a thick fluid that forms during infection. It is made up of dead white blood cells, bacteria, and tissue debris, and is often a sign that the body is fighting an infection. Local infection. A local infection is limited to one specific area of the body. It does not spread beyond the initial site where the bacteria entered. Systemic infection. A systemic infection spreads beyond the original location and affects the entire body. It can enter the bloodstream and impact multiple systems or organs. Staphylococcus, also known as staph infection. Staphylococcus, often called staph, is a group of bacteria that can live on the skin or inside the body. While some strains are harmless, others can cause infections ranging from mild skin irritation to more serious conditions. MRSA stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. It is a type of staph bacteria that has developed resistance to several commonly used antibiotics, which makes it harder to treat than typical staph infections. What is MRSA? MRSA is a strain of staph bacteria that can live on the skin or inside the nose without causing any problems. This is called colonization. However, if it enters the body through a cut, scrape, or broken skin, it can cause an infection. How it spreads. MRSA is usually spread through direct skin-to-skin contact with an infected or colonized person, touching contaminated surfaces or tools like towels, razors, or implements. Poor hand hygiene, especially in close contact environments. In beauty settings, anything that contacts broken skin or is not properly disinfected can become a risk factor. What it looks like. MRSA skin infections often appear as red, swollen, and painful bumps, pimple-like lesions or boils, areas that may feel warm to the touch, pus or drainage in more advanced infections. It can sometimes be mistaken for a spider bite or simple acne early on. Why it matters in the beauty industry, you may ask. MRSA is important for esthetician and cosmetologists and really any professional in the beauty industry because it can spread easily through improper sanitation. It may enter the body through microcut or waxing, shaving, irritation. It requires strict infection control, you guys. So procedures to prevent cross-contamination is important. Clients with visible infections should not receive services in infected areas. Prevention basics to reduce risk. Wash your hands thoroughly and often. Disinfect tools and surfaces correctly after each client. Never reuse contaminated material or tools. Avoid working on open or infected skin. And of course, follow proper infection control procedures every single time. Viruses. Viruses are extremely small infectious agents that require a living host to survive and reproduce. Unlike bacteria, they cannot grow or multiply on their own. Once a virus enters the body, it invades healthy cells and uses them to make more copies of itself, which can lead to illness. Viruses can spread through direct contact, respiratory droplets, contaminated surfaces, or bodily fluids. Depending on the type of virus, because they live inside cells, viral infections are not treated with antibiotics. Blood-borne pathogens. Blood-borne pathogens are disease-causing microorganisms that are present in human blood and certain body fluids. When these pathogens enter the body through cuts, open wounds, or mucous membranes, they can cause serious infections or illnesses. In the beauty industry, exposure can occur if contaminated blood or body fluid come into contact with broken skin or improperly cleaned tools. Examples of blood-borne pathogens include viruses such as hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV. Proper infection control, such as wearing gloves, disinfecting tools correctly, and avoiding contact with blood, is important to prevent their spread. Fungi. Fungi are plant-like microorganisms that thrive in warm, moist environments. They feed on dead organic material and can spread through skin contact or contaminated surfaces. Fungal infections often affect the skin, hair, and nails. Mildew. Mildew is a type of fungus that grows in damp areas. It is commonly found on surfaces and in environments with excess moisture. Tinea barbi. Tinea barbi is a fungal infection that affects the beard area of the face. It can cause redness, itching, and patchy hair loss. Tinea capitis. Tinea capitis is a fungal infection of the scalp and hair. It may lead to scaling, itching, and areas of hair loss. Ringworm. Ringworm is a contagious fungal infection that forms circular, ring-like patches on the skin. Despite its name, it is not caused by a worm. Parasites. Parasites are organisms that live on or inside a host and depend on that host for survival. They feed off the body and can cause irritation, infection, and discomfort. In aesthetics and cosmetology, parasites are usually spread through close personal contact or sharing contaminated items. Pediculosis capitis, also known as head lice. Pediculosis capitis is a parasitic infestation of the scalp caused by head lice. These tiny insects live on the hair and scalp, feed on blood, and can cause itching and irritation. They are easily spread through direct head-to-head contact or sharing items like combs, hats, or pillows. Scabies. Scabies is a contagious skin condition caused by microscopic mites that burrow into the skin. It leads to intense itching, especially at night, and can cause a rash or small raised bumps. Scabies spread through prolonged skin-to-skin contact or contaminated personal items. Biofilms. Biofilms are communities of microorganisms that stick together and attach to a surface, forming a thin protective layer. These organisms create a shield-like coating that helps them survive and resist cleaning and disinfecting products. In a biofilm, bacteria and other microbes are held together by a sticky substance they produce, which makes them harder to remove than individual germs. Biofilms can develop on tools, equipment, sinks, drains, and any surface where moisture is present. Proper cleaning before disinfection is essential to break down and remove this buildup. Efficacy. Efficacy refers to how effective a product or treatment is at producing the desired result. In infection control, it is described how well a disinfectant or procedure works at eliminating or reducing microorganisms when used correctly according to directions. In other words, efficacy measures whether a product actually performs as intended under proper use conditions, including correct dilution, contact time, and application method. Non-porous. Non-porous surfaces are materials that do not absorb liquid or moisture. Because they don't have tiny openings, germs stay on the surface and can be removed more easily through proper cleaning and disinfection. Examples include metal, glass, and plastic tools. Porous. Porous surfaces are materials that contain tiny openings or spaces that can absorb liquids, dirt, and microorganisms. Because germs can get trapped inside these surfaces, they are harder to fully disinfect. Examples include fabric, wood, sponges, and paper-based materials. Quads, quaternary ammonium compounds. Quads are a group of disinfecting chemicals commonly used in salons and aesthetic settings to help control germs on surfaces and non-porous tools. They work by breaking down and damaging the cell structure of microorganisms, which helps stop their ability to survive and spread. Quads are effective against many bacteria, fungi, and some viruses, but they do not destroy bacterial spores. They're often found in hospital-grade disinfectants and salon disinfecting solutions because they are generally safe for surfaces used when used correctly. Quad solutions usually disinfect implements in 10 minutes. Tuberculocidal disinfectants. Tuberculocidal disinfectants are powerful cleaning agents designed to destroy Mycobacterium tuberculosis and other similar tough microorganisms. In infection control, if a product is labeled tuberculocidal, it is considered strong enough to kill a wide range of harmful pathogens. Tuberculosis, TB. Tuberculosis is a serious bacterial infection that mainly affects the lungs but can also spread to other parts of the body. It is transmitted through airborne particles released when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or speaks. Phenolic disinfectants. Phenolic disinfectants are a type of strong chemical cleaner used in professional settings to kill bacteria, viruses, and fungi on non-porous surfaces. They are effective but must be used carefully, as they can be irritating to the skin and not suitable for all environments or tools. Sodium hypochlorite. Sodium hypochlorite is a strong disinfecting chemical commonly found in bleach solutions. It is used to kill a wide range of microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, and fungi on non-porous surfaces. In professional settings, it must be diluted properly before use because it can be harsh, corrosive, and irritating in its concentrated form. It works by breaking down the structure of microorganisms, which help destroy them quickly when contact time is followed correctly. It is often used as a high-level disinfectant for surfaces and contaminated areas when stronger disinfection is required. Store the bleach solution away from heat and light. and mix a fresh solution daily, every 24 hours, or when the solution has been contaminated. Bleach used in the salon, spa, or barber shop must be EPA registered as a disinfectant. Exposure incident. An exposure incident is any situation where a person comes into contact with potentially infectious materials in a way that could lead to infection. This usually involves exposure to blood or other body fluids through broken skin, needle sticks, cuts, or contact with the eyes, nose, or mouth. In a professional setting, this can happen if contaminated tools, surfaces, or materials accidentally come in contact with skin or mucous membranes. When an exposure incident happens, it must be reported immediately and handled according to workplace safety procedures to reduce the risk of infection. Well, that is it for this infection control review. I hope you found all of this information helpful. If you did, don't forget to give this video a like, share it with a friend. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your continued support. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms as Glam and Beyond. Feel free to scan the QR code to stay connected with me. And as always, let's keep going, let's keep growing, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.